Welcome to SVGTV's News for Wednesday, May 25th, 2016. I am Rochelle Baptiste with the details. There will be no representative of the Organization of American States, the OAS, testifying in the High Court of Justice here pertaining to the election petitions filed by the opposition New Democratic Party, the NDP. This position comes from the OAS as a request for a summons has been made to have a member of the Electoral Observation Mission, Merlene Glynn, testified in respect of the exercise of her functions as an observer in the December 2015 general elections here. The OAS requests that the petition be withdrawn in consideration of the privileges and immunities of the OAS and Mrs. Glynn in her capacity as a duly accredited member of the OAS Observation Mission. As a result, this has been interpreted by some supporters of the ruling Unity Labour Party to mean that the OAS believes the petition should be dropped from the law courts. However, the opposition New Democratic Party, the NDP, refuted such claims, pointing out in a release that the OAS merely made a request not for the petition not to be summoned for one of its observers to testify in the High Court on the matter. The NDP stated that the OAS corresponded with one of its lawyers, Zita Banwell, informing the attorney that due to immunity from judicial proceedings, the General Secretary of the OAS, its staff, and the duly accredited members of its Electoral Observer Mission may not be compelled to provide testimony in a court of law. In the letter to Banwell, the OAS stated that they may not send Glynn or any other member of the Observation Mission to provide testimony regarding their work. However, noted that they understand the importance of a democratic electoral process and may provide the High Court of Justice with a copy of its publicly available documents on the election. Depositors at RBTT Bank must make their own decision whether to stay with the bank or withdraw their savings based on their own situation. And that's according to Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves on a radio program earlier this week, commenting on the newly implemented $25 fee on saving accounts, which will see depositors losing $300 a year. Dr. Gonsalves said in the past, another bank had a similar charge but of a significantly lesser fee, which did not stir up a negative effect as the one implemented by RBTT.
I would tell persons to make their own judgment. If it's something they believe, if they have a sufficiency of monies and they think they can manage to bear the cost of the $300, well, bear it. If not, move it and put it somewhere else. The only thing is this: I believe that RBTT is not mourning the loss of a number of small accounts, because it's expensive for them to maintain small accounts. You understand the point I'm making, Big?
Yeah.
And what I worry about is for Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where a lot of them would be going to put their money. Some of the very smaller ones might actually go and buy shares for the credit unions now. Go into the credit union and so on. Or if they were credit union, they put the money in the credit unions and so on. But if it goes to the credit union, it's more than likely going to end up inside of the Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and they have to have outlets where they're going to lend this money.
The Prime Minister also made it clear that the current situation does not reflect a breakdown of the banking system here in SVG.
But it's not a run as a consequence of the banking system being flawed, or RBTT is insolvent, or there's a threat of insolvency. No, that's not the case. These are people who are moving the money, because I have a small account, and even though I don't have a smaller account, as a matter of principle, I'm moving my money from you because you put this charge, you didn't tell me anything, and they'll go to another bank, because people will make their individual decisions. This does not reflect an insolvency in the banking
I get that
system.
Yes.
So this is not a case where you had to run and stand for the bank, where the central bank had to come in and shore it up.
Noted as a recurrent global risk which affects not only poultry but humans and the overall environment, avian influenza has affected over 50 countries worldwide, accounting for loss of poultry and up to 385 human deaths between January 1st, 2003 and February 2nd, 2014. With this in mind, a two-day avian influenza tabletop simulation exercise began here yesterday to revise and strengthen the National Emergency Response Plan for highly pathogenic influenza, the HPAI, hosted by the Ministry of Agriculture in collaboration with the Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, IECA, and other government ministries, extending a call to all agricultural stakeholders along with other stakeholders to get serious and to take no chance with the disease. Chief Agriculture Officer Ashley Kane noted that diseases such as the H5N1 can and will affect one's health, livestock, and most specifically their way of life.
Your food system is safe, secure, and reliable, and then find that you can hardly get things to eat. And it means that those of us who are in the agricultural industry have a certain duty of care to ensure, one, that we understand the dynamics of the disease and its management so that we can respond. And secondly, that we are in a position to guide, not only by words, but also hands-on, on the ground, on farms, the kind of intervention and strategies that would be required to monitor and to manage if and when these issues come before us.
Kane spoke of the need for participants to become advocates in order to ensure that should these consequences be encountered, there stands a chance for them to be minimized.
And I am looking forward to our being so appraised and understanding the disease and its consequences and its management that we can begin, Dr. Hatcher, as soon as possible. One, to first engage at the political level why this is such an important issue and why certain resources and attention should be paid to it in the Ministry of Agriculture and across the broader government sphere, can begin the sensitization and the educational process and the communication support process that would help us to understand and respond accordingly.
Commending the collaborative work of the Ministry of Agriculture and IECA in their proactive approach to address the infectious disease, international consultant Dr. David Castellan noted the importance of having appropriate emergency response to deal with not only avian influenza but other emerging infectious diseases.
See increasingly that many of the diseases that human beings now get, the majority of them, over 60%, are zoonotic. They come from animals or they're shared with animals. So an effective emergency response to emergency diseases such as avian influenza involves a cyclical process that includes planning, preparedness, response, and recovery. So far, the plan has been benchmarked structurally using FAO guidelines from two different sources from FAO. Today and tomorrow, what we're going to be doing is a functional benchmarking of the plan.
In other news, Minister of Agriculture Saboto Caesar says though the country's banana industry has not yet fully recovered from Hurricane Thomas, there have been increasing opportunities towards the revamping of the industry. Minister Caesar explains to SVG-TV News that he is optimistic for the future of the banana industry as he is witnessing an increasing number of banana farmers returning to the production of the crop.
I am aware that the Dominican Republic, that they're now focusing on an organic banana market both in the US and the UK. So there's increasing regional space for persons to get into bananas. I am also aware that Windfresh, the company that markets Windward Islands bananas, that they are currently on the ground working with farmers, and they intend to work with the Ministry of Lands and Surveys to see how they can find more lands and to ensure that farmers are part of the process to increase production to take to the United Kingdom.
Regional Policy Officer of the Food and Agriculture Organization for the United Nations, Celso Carvalho has praised his country's effort in the fight against hunger and malnutrition. Carvalho says the initiative taken for SVG to start its own chapter in September of 2015 in the Zero Hunger campaign is quite commendable. He said SVG also became the first of the English-speaking Caribbean to be given the seat for the coordinating commission.
From this point on, the Caribbean presence was, of course, occurring before this meeting, but from this time on, through St. Vincent and Grenadines, the Caribbean is also coordinating the initiative within parliaments to tackle the hunger and malnutrition issue through of course, debates, discussions, passing laws, and other activities that are needed.
And Minister of Agriculture, Soboto Caesar, has been appointed on the Executive Committee for Latin America and the Caribbean. He noted it has been an important pillar in the government's quest to reduce poverty. Caesar says the recent establishment of the Zero Hunger Fund is just part of their efforts towards the goal of eliminating hunger in SVG.
We have now the work from the Ministry of Agriculture working with the Food and Agriculture Organization to initiate several programs to build on the school feeding program that we already have. For example, to establish backyard gardening programs in different communities and villages, to work with interest groups and civil society, community-based organizations, non-governmental organizations, the cooperatives, to ensure that we create a framework where food can become more accessible and cheaper.
A training seminar on forensic pathology will be hosted here on Saturday at the Trinity School of Medicine in Rotterdam. The seminar is a collaborative effort of the SVG Medical Association and the SVG Bar Association. The training specifically targets doctors, lawyers, police detectives, police prosecutors, and prosecutors at the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, the DPP. The broad objectives of the symposium are to enable the targeted professionals to correctly recognize, classify, and differentiate the spectrum of wounds and injuries, to know what quality assurance measures should exist in the practice of forensic pathology, to appreciate the role of computer-generated images as a valuable tool for the representation of injuries in the courtroom in criminal trials, and to demonstrate knowledge of the specific forensic pathology issues to be addressed in the documentation and assessment of homicidal stab and incisive wounds. Registration is now open. Medical personnel can register through the SVG Medical Association, while lawyers, police detectives, and police prosecutors and Crown Counsel can register with the SVG Bar Association. The Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force is currently investigating the death of Wendell Oliver, also known as Barbara, a 24-year-old resident of Vermont, whose body was found in the road in the area of Monkey Hill in the New Montrose area this morning. Reports indicated that he appeared to have received a gunshot wound to the back of his head. Oliver's death brings the number of homicide for this country thus far to 14, and the number of residents of the area who did not wish to be interviewed on camera told our news team that they have serious concerns for their safety and are calling on the authorities to set up a mobile police station in the area to give them a sense of peace and security. Carnival Beat is coming up. Stay with us. In Carnival Beat this evening, we heard that as part of efforts to showcase all three components of Vincy Mass, Pan and Calypso, but not forgetting the soca element, the Carnival Bands Association will on Saturday, May 28, 2016, host an event dubbed Carnival Blast at the Victoria Park from 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. Speaking at a media conference earlier this week, Secretary of the Carnival Bands Association, Alvon Cadogan, promised patrons a fun-filled event and an exciting showcase. She noted that the event will see the collective launch of 13 of the 14 mass bands taking part in Vincy Mass 2016, along with displays from various stakeholders.
So we are doing everything in Victoria Park. You're coming to see all the old mass, reintroduce it into the park. What we'll have is water sports as well as stakeholders. We'll also have dancers on stage as well. But what we're hoping to have is that anytime after 6 o'clock, you'll have the parades of band crossing the stage, as well as some up and coming artists. You have 14 mass bands to choose from, high rate, low rate, cheap rate also. So you can afford to play mass somewhere along the line. And they will be offering these costumes in Victoria Park at a discounted price for persons who want to register there and then to play mass.
Noting that Carnival Blast seeks to promote every aspect of Vincy Mass, CBA Events Manager Alicia Sardine outlined that heavy emphasis are being placed on showcasing the work of young and upcoming artists.
But then we look at the young artists, young and upcoming artists. This is an avenue for them to showcase their product. As we say, young and upcoming artists, first-time artists with really good songs, and the seasoned artists. Everybody is going to get a part of the event to showcase their product, whether it be one song or 10. But they're going to be here. So the general public should come out. Don't miss this event. You miss this, you blame yourself.
Chief Executive of the Carnival Development Corporation, Ashford Wood, says the CDC is elated to be a part of the collective movement to promote Vincy Mass.
This weekend, we are once again about to witness the second CBA Extreme Carnival launch. And I can say that the CDC not only endorses the event, but we are in full support of the show. On behalf of the CDC, I would like to take this opportunity to wish the CBA every success on Saturday at the CBA Extreme Carnival launch. And as I told Brother here yesterday, the facilities are in place and they are ready to be used.
Persons who have an interest in partaking in Vincy Mass Monday evening T-shirt band parade have yet another band to choose from this year, as telecommunications provider Digicel has regained permission to participate in this year's Carnival Monday activities after it was withdrawn earlier this month by the Carnival Development Corporation. Reports are that Digicel had approached the CDC and received an approval to have a Monday band, which was later withdrawn after another telecommunications provider, Flow, which is a Super Platinum sponsors of Vincy Mass, objected to the CDC's action, noting that it was a breach of their 3-year contract with the CDC, which ends this year. When asked about the issue at a media conference earlier this week, CEO of the CDC, Ashford Wood, noted that the matter has been resolved and patrons can expect to witness presentations from both entities.
It is one of our Super Platinum sponsors, and the organization that pumps about $900,000 into the festival. When you take into account what they give to the CDC, the components, the private promoters, objected on the grounds that the CDC is in breach of the 3-year contractual agreement that we have with them. 2016 being the final year. Thus, the endorsement, and I say endorsement, was withdrawn. However, following further discussions, which were held with representatives of Digicel, Flow, CDC, and other partners, the way has been cleared for Digicel to be part of the Monday activities.
The leader of the On-Tour Calypso tent, Grantley Iper Constant, says Calypso fanatics here will not be disappointed with what they have in store for Vincy Mars 2016. Iper told SVG-TV News earlier today that On-Tour will be presented a wide range of Calypso music which focus on diverse social issues affecting the society.
The On-Tour Calypso tent is featuring a 15-member cast, and we have diverse Calypso. Calypso speaking about marriage life, Calypso speaking about humorous things that are happening. We have Calypsos that have political overtones and so forth. And as I say, we have a diverse line of talent topics that the Calypso, the On-Tour Calypso tent is going to entertain people with tomorrow night and all Thursdays from tonight. Tomorrow night, yeah.
The experienced Calypsonian said while he anticipates a grand season, he laments that Calypso music is facing challenging times.
If we as Calypsonian recording our songs year after year and the radio station is not playing it, then we're facing an uphill battle. And I know if the radio station start playing the Calypso, more people will be, getting interested in what the Calypso is about. If you withheld something that is important from somebody, they wouldn't know anything about it, so they wouldn't relish it. But give us the opportunity, and people will, get back, the love for the craft of Calypso.
The On-Tour Calypso tent will this year feature 15 Calypsonians. The 8 contestants vying for the crown of Miss SVG 2016 earlier today met with Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves and other members of Cabinet. The contestants were also accompanied by members of the CDC's Beauty Shows Committee and reigning Miss SVG Deontay Mayes. SVG-TV News will be bringing you a special feature with each of the contestants showcasing their preparation leading up to the big night. And local designer Shanicia Mayes continues to follow her dreams to be recognized internationally for her work. Speaking with SVG-TV News earlier this week, Mayes says she is honored to have been part of big fashion shows such as Paris and New York Fashion Week. However, she has had her eyes set on reaching further with her love for fashion and designing.
I design clothing for both male and female. I also do interior decorating, couch covers, drapes, name it, as long as it has to do with fabric, we do it. I participated in Paris Fashion Week in 2014, New York Fashion Week 2009, St. Lucia, the reality TV show in Jamaica, Mission Catwalk, Tobago Fashion Week, and our local shows that I've participated in. I want everyone to know Shanicia Mayes. I want to be a household name everywhere.
The creative entrepreneur says she receives inspiration to create her unique pieces from almost anywhere and urges young aspiring designers to work hard to create their own brand in the market.
Creativity, inspiration, it comes from everywhere. Trees, outside, roof, the floor, maybe the pattern in a concrete, maybe the pattern in a piece of wood, anywhere, everywhere. For other young designers out there, you just have to push through and find your spot in the market. Because, for example, I don't believe that no one has all Nike or all Chanel or all Gucci in their wardrobes. Variety is the spice of life. So everybody has a space in everyone's wardrobe. So do your thing, be creative, and just find you and your niche.